necessarily need your suggestions right now, but we do have one of the people who helped figure this whole thing out. Confirmation.com is a company that played a big role in discovering the fraud in the first place at PFGBest.
The company's founder, Brian Fox, is joining us now. This just has to do with online automated audit confirmations. Right. But Russell Wassendorf Sr. actually fought the push by the Futures Association, right, to sign up for these online confirmations or these electronic confirmations. Why, though, did it take so long for the Futures Association to adopt your technology and basically uncover this?
Sure, you know, and that's the question that really everybody's asking. But what the NFA can be applauded for here is moving to electronic confirmations. You know, this is a fraud that unfortunately we've seen happen way too often. And this is a textbook case of confirmation fraud. Where there's two sets of books, they provide their auditors with one set, and they keep the honest set.
So there was it was on paper essentially up until very, very recently. In other words, they had
mail.
Right. So they had to move to you guys.
Correct.
And it was about a week ago or whatever, and then the next day we have the news the guy tries to kill himself. Is that how it really? That's the timeline?
Right. We've been doing, as a profession, audit confirmations on paper for about 100 years. The frauds date back all the way to McKesson and Robbins in the 1920s. But in this case, what you see is the switch from in paper confirmations, which have been used for 20 years in this case, and within 24 hours of our service, confirmation.com being used, the fraud was uncovered.
He knew they were onto him. He knew he was done.
Well, it begs the question of how many more firms out there are, how many more of them could be? How much more fraud do we not yet know about?
Yeah, you know, it's exactly what we've been focused on over the last week and a half. We've taken phone calls from broker-dealers. We've taken phone calls from companies who want to move their money to banks who are using our service because they want clarity, they want transparency, and we know that there are more frauds that are out there right now. This certainly isn't the only one that's taken place. It's just a matter of time before more are uncovered.
What happens? Do you catch them like this as soon as you...
Yeah, you know, if I was a fraudster, what I'd be doing is figuring out which banks aren't using confirmation.com because that's the only way I'm going to be able to hide the fraud. But, you know, essentially I kind of liken it to, as an investor, you wouldn't trust your child to a doctor who's using outdated medical procedures. Investors shouldn't have to trust or use outdated audit procedures to make sure that their money's taken care of.
You were talking about other frauds that are out there. What kind of dollars are we talking about potentially?
Yeah, you know, in the last 10 years, we've seen over 40 public company frauds, and we're talking billions of dollars of investor losses. Olympus, $4.5 billion of investor losses. It was 3 banks that had an individual in this case who was helping provide false information back to the auditors. We've seen other frauds that have taken place as well, like Kmart, like Parmalat. Parmalat was a $4.9 billion bank account balance that didn't exist, but it went on for a period of about 10 years before the fraud was uncovered.
All right, Brian Fox, confirmation.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian, great to talk to you. Thank you so much. The president